Here once before last February, and I've been hearing about this club for years. San Francisco was a great place early in my career when I was in the 80s, when I was just getting started. There was a club here called the Old Waldorf that was run by Bill Graham, and we used to play there quite often. And also at the time, I think there were like 4 different radio stations that played jazz music in the 80s. Actually, it was amazing. And then unfortunately, we sort of went through a long time where I didn't play very often in San Francisco, and it's great to be back here, twice in the same year, actually. I'm usually fortunate enough, and especially tonight, fortunate enough to play with some great musicians, each of whom, are sort of monsters and at a very, very high level of professionalism and, accomplishment on their instruments. And so, yeah, I give everybody a lot of freedom. That's why I sort of like the quartet format, because there's a lot of room for everybody to kind of do their thing. When you have more instruments, you sort of need to be more aware of, not invading somebody else's space. But yeah, the music's set up so that there's a lot of sections that are written out where we play together, and then there's a lot of chances for each of us to improvise and kind of show what we got.
I think we have a really good chemistry, so we have a lot of similar tastes in music, and we're very aware of lots of styles of music, and it's a good combination, and we have a lot of fun doing it. We work on the tunes together, the arrangements. I always have some pretty wacky ideas about certain things, maybe arrangement-wise, or maybe even bringing in some other musicians that I think would add some unusual, unique quality to the music.
We started my group, the Jeff Lorber Fusion. I mean, I called the band that kind of as truth in advertising, because I started the group in Portland, Oregon, where there were a lot of like country rock groups, and that's what was real popular then. And so it's kind of like letting people know, hey, this is the Jeff Lorber Fusion, so if you want to hear, Season of the Witch, this isn't the place to go tonight. But it was sort of a melodic style of funky jazz with some, be-bop harmonies, and I've been doing it for about 35 years now, and it's gone through a lot of changes. But I think at its essence, I think in a way I'm still kind of doing the same thing that I did when I was starting out.
With the original Jeff Lorber Fusion, the original band was a unit and had a sound, and I. Now in the new resurrection of the jazz, Jeff Lorber Jazz Fusion group, I feel like it's nice to add some other elements that his fans maybe wouldn't expect. Music is a very serious form of expression, and I truly believe that music has healing powers, and so I think about those kinds of things when I walk on a stage or go into a studio to record some music, and I look at wherever I'm performing music as a temple of sorts, and I have to be very respectful of that.
Jazz always has been sort of a fusion of different influences. I mean, if you go way back, it was sort of a fusion of, you could say, European classical harmony and, some of the rhythmic concepts from Africa, and, things that came out of, songs that slaves would sing in the fields in the early Americas. But In the 70s, what happened was you had, it started out kind of being more of avant-garde jazz with sort of heavy metal guitar and, groups like the Mahavishnu Orchestra and some of the stuff that Miles Davis was doing. And then there was sort of a second generation of fusion music of bands like the Pat Metheny Group and, Return to Forever, of course, and Herbie Hancock and, and of course Miles continued to be a big influence through the 80s. I just got back from a 5-week tour where we kind of went all the way around the world. We went to Southeast Asia and we played in Korea and Manila and Taipei and Jakarta, and then we went to Germany and we kind of toured all over Europe. We played in the UK and Turkey and Holland and a lot of different towns in Germany. And so that was a lot of fun and pretty successful.
Working on a new record, new Jeff Lorber fusion record. It'll be my third project, working hand in hand with Jeff as a co-producer. And I think we got some cool stuff in the can right now. I think it's developing into a very nice project, and we have some really great musicians working with us. So I'm really looking forward to 2013 and this new record, which is currently untitled.